On the second day of my retirement, my daughter-in-law called and said, "Cora, I'm leaving my 3 children with you for 10 days. After all, you don't do anything anymore." "I'm Cora Robinson, 68 years old." I said okay and ended the call. Then I smiled and decided to teach her a lesson she would never forget. If you're listening from somewhere far away, drop your city in the comments so I can see how far this has traveled. And please, stay with me until the end. What my daughter-in-law didn't know was that this retired teacher who didn't do anything had spent 38 years learning not just how to educate children, but how to recognize manipulation, document abuse, and most importantly, how to wait for exactly the right moment to act. It was November 17th, 2024, at exactly 4:13 in the afternoon. I know because I was staring at my retirement certificate on the wall, Cora May Robinson, in recognition of 38 years of dedicated service, Lincoln Elementary School, Columbus, Ohio, when my phone rang. I'd been retired for exactly 48 hours, 2 days, after working since I was 22 years old, after raising my son Darius alone when his father Samuel died of lung cancer, after sacrificing everything to give that boy an education. I finally had time for myself. My coffee table was covered in travel brochures: Yellowstone National Park, the Grand Canyon, a road trip down the Pacific Coast Highway. Places I'd dreamed about but never had time to visit because first it was raising Darius, then it was saving for his college, and then Vanessa appeared. The phone showed her name. I hesitated. Vanessa never called unless she wanted something. "Cora," she began without even a hello. She never called me mother-in-law, much less mom. Just Cora, like I was her assistant. "I have an incredible opportunity in Atlanta. It's a 10-day e-commerce conference that's going to change our lives." E-commerce conference. Another one of her pyramid schemes where she always lost money. Darius's money. "The children can't miss school," she continued, her voice already assuming my agreement. "So I'm leaving Isaiah, Maya, and Jordan with you. I'll drop them off tomorrow morning at 7. I felt my grip tighten on the phone. "I'm sorry, what?" "Oh, don't play deaf, Cora. I said I'm leaving the kids with you for 10 days. After all, you don't do anything anymore. You have all the time in the world now that you're not working." I don't do anything anymore. This woman, who had never worked an honest day in her life, who lived off my son like a parasite, who spent money faster than Darius could earn it, was telling me that I did nothing. "Vanessa," I said carefully, "I have plans." She laughed, that sharp, dismissive laugh I'd come to detest. "Plans? What plans can a retired old woman have? Knitting? Watching soap operas? Please, Cora, don't be ridiculous." I looked at my brochures. Yellowstone, the Grand Canyon, dreams I'd waited 46 years to fulfill. I'll drop them off at 7 sharp. And Cora?" Her voice turned cold. "Don't give them junk food like last time. You know they need proper nutrition, not the processed garbage you fed Darius growing up." The last time? The last time I saw my grandchildren was 6 months ago at Christmas, and only for 2 hours. Vanessa had insisted they needed to leave early to visit her parents, the important grandparents, she'd called them, the ones with money. "Vanessa, I need to discuss this with Darius first. Darius agrees. He knows you have nothing better to do." She paused, and I heard the smile in her voice. "Besides, Cora, if you ever want to see your grandchildren again, you'd better cooperate, because I decide whether they have a grandmother or not." There it was, the threat I'd heard variations of for the past 8 years. Ever since she married my son, Vanessa had been slowly, methodically cutting me out of my grandchildren's lives. Birthday parties I wasn't invited to. School events I wasn't notified about. Holidays where I got 2 hours while her parents got 3 days. And now this. The ultimate insult. Take care of her children while she gallivanted off to Atlanta, because I did nothing and had all the time in the world. Something inside me, something that had been bending for 8 years, finally snapped. Or rather, it woke up. "All right, Vanessa," I said, my voice suddenly sweet as honey. "Bring them over tomorrow at 7. "That's more like it." I could hear the satisfaction in her tone. "And Cora? Don't spoil them. You know they're difficult children, but that's because you never knew how to raise Darius properly. If he'd had a decent mother—" I ended the call before she could finish. My hand was trembling, not from fear or hurt, but from something else, something I hadn't felt in years. Righteous anger. The kind of anger that doesn't make you scream or cry. The kind that makes you plan. I sat there for exactly 3 minutes, staring at that retirement certificate. 38 years of shaping young minds. 38 years of dealing with difficult parents, troubled children, and impossible situations. 38 years of learning patience, strategy, and the art of documentation. Vanessa had just declared war on the wrong teacher. I opened the drawer of my desk and pulled out a notebook. The first page had a title I'd written 2 years ago. Things I've Observed About Vanessa Robinson, 2022 to 2024. 15 pages of careful notes, dates, times, observations, the business trips that happened every single month, the designer clothes that appeared despite Darius working 60-hour weeks, the way she talked to my grandchildren about me when she thought I couldn't hear, the gradual, systematic way she'd isolated me from my family. I'd been documenting for 2 years, waiting. Teachers are good at that, watching, noting, waiting for the pattern to become clear. And now, finally, I had my opportunity. I picked up my phone and called Patricia Davis. Patricia and I had taught together for 30 years before she retired. But more importantly, her sister Sandra worked for Child Protective Services in Franklin County. "Patricia, it's Cora. I need your help." I paused, looking at my notebook. "Do you remember what you told me about those hidden cameras you used during your divorce?" There was a moment of silence, then, "Cora Robinson, are you about to do what I think you're about to do?" "Yes," I said simply, "and I'm going to need Sandra's number too." Patricia laughed, a warm, knowing laugh. "Girl, it's about damn time. I'll be there in an hour with everything you need." After I hung up, I made myself a cup of chamomile tea and sat down to plan. Tomorrow morning, Vanessa would drop off 3 children who barely knew me. 3 children who'd been trained to see me as the poor grandmother, the boring grandmother, the grandmother who wasn't worth their time. But I knew something Vanessa didn't know. I was very, very good at transforming children. And these 3 were about to discover who their grandmother Cora really was. I opened my notebook to a fresh page and wrote, November 17th, 2024, 4:13 p.m. Vanessa Robinson made her biggest mistake. She assumed I was weak. She forgot I was a teacher. Tomorrow her children's education begins, but the lesson won't be for them. I smiled, sipping my tea. Class was about to start. The doorbell rang at precisely 7 o'clock. Vanessa was always punctual when it suited her purposes. I opened the door to find my daughter-in-law in a cream-colored designer pantsuit. Armani, if I wasn't mistaken, probably $800. Her Louis Vuitton suitcase sat beside her, another $2,000. She wore Chanel No. 5, the expensive kind, $60 an ounce. I'd learned to recognize these brands over the years, learned to calculate their cost while my son worked 14-hour shifts at the manufacturing plant. Behind her stood 3 children with suitcases bigger than they were. Isaiah, 13 years old, stared at his iPhone with the intensity of a surgeon. He didn't look up when I opened the door. Maya, 11, looked at my house with barely concealed disgust, her nose wrinkled like she smelled something bad. Jordan, 8, had already spotted my old television through the window and was frowning. "That TV is ancient," I heard him whisper to Maya. "Good morning," I said warmly, opening the door wider. "Come in, babies." "They're not babies, Cora," Vanessa snapped. She didn't cross the threshold, just pushed the children forward like she was delivering packages. "Isaiah is allergic to dust. Make sure you actually clean. Maya won't eat anything with green vegetables. Don't force her. And Jordan needs his iPad to fall asleep, so make sure it's charged." She thrust a paper bag at me. "Their medications are in the blue bag. Prescriptions, dosages, everything. I'll be back in 10 days. Don't call me unless it's an emergency. I'll be very busy." "And Darius?" I asked. "Isn't he coming to say goodbye to his children?" Something flickered in Vanessa's eyes. Annoyance, maybe guilt. "Darius is working. As always. Someone has to support this family." She looked me up and down pointedly. "Not all of us get to retire with a government pension." My pension, $1,547 a month after 38 years of service. Vanessa spent more than that on her nails and eyelash extensions every month. The children trudged inside, dragging their expensive luggage across my clean floor. None of them said hello. None of them hugged me. Vanessa leaned close, her voice dropping to a whisper only I could hear. "And Cora? Don't you dare fill their heads with ideas about family or love or any of that nonsense. Remember, I decide if they ever see you again after this." She left without kissing her children goodbye. No hugs, no I love yous. Just the click of her designer heels on my front walk and the roar of her brand new Lexus SUV, $65,000, bought just 3 months ago. I closed the door and turned to face 3 hostile faces. Isaiah still hadn't looked up from his phone. Maya stood with her arms crossed, looking around my living room like it was a prison cell. Jordan had already turned on my TV and was complaining about the picture quality. I'd installed the first hidden camera at 6:30 a.m., disguised as a smoke detector in the living room. Patricia had brought 5 more last night, 1 in the kitchen, 1 in the hallway, 1 in the dining room, and 2 in the bedrooms the children would use, all recording with timestamp and audio. "Where's the Wi-Fi password?" Isaiah demanded without looking at me. "The modem's broken," I lied. I'd unplugged it at 6:45 a.m. His head snapped up for the first time. "What? No way! Mom! Mom!" He started screaming like I'd told him I'd cut off his arm. "Your mother is gone, Isaiah, and screaming won't bring the internet back." "You're the worst grandmother in the world," he snarled. "That's why nobody likes you. Mom says you're bitter and jealous because your life sucks." There it was, Vanessa's poison, spoken in my grandson's voice. "I'm hungry," Maya interrupted. "But I'm not eating anything you cook. Mom says you're a terrible cook, and that's why Dad is so skinny and unhealthy." "I want to watch YouTube," Jordan added, having given up on my TV. "At home I watch YouTube all day. Mom lets me." I looked at all 3 of them. Perfect products of neglect disguised as modern parenting. Children who knew no boundaries, who'd never heard the word no, who'd been programmed to despise me. But I'd seen worse in my 38 years. Much worse. And I'd transformed them all. "Well," I said calmly, pulling out 3 folded pieces of paper from my pocket. "Here are your assignments for the morning." "Assignments?" Isaiah looked horrified. "We're not in school." "No," I agreed. "You're in my house. And in my house, everyone contributes. Isaiah, you'll wash any dishes we use. Maya, you'll make your bed and keep your room tidy. Jordan, you'll pick up any toys or items you use and put them back." "That's child labor," Isaiah shouted. "That's illegal." "No, sweetheart. Child labor is what I see on your mother's Facebook page. Children being used as props for social media while being emotionally neglected. This is called learning responsibility." I picked up my phone and opened Facebook. Vanessa's page, public for all to see. I turned the screen toward them. The most recent post, from 45 minutes ago, Vanessa in a bikini at the Atlanta airport, champagne glass in hand. The caption read, "Finally free, #MeTime, #NoKids, #living my best life, #NoKids." Her children stared at the photo. I watched their faces carefully. Isaiah's jaw tightened. Maya's eyes filled with tears. She quickly blinked away. Jordan looked confused, like he didn't understand what he was seeing. "Now," I continued, putting my phone away, "breakfast is in 30 minutes. Whoever helps me cook gets to choose what we make. The rest of you will eat what's served." I walked toward the kitchen, leaving them in the living room. Behind me, I heard Jordan whisper, "Why did Mom say she's free now?" Maya shushed him quickly. "Shut up. We're not supposed to talk about that." Not supposed to talk about what? I thought, making a mental note. The first crack in the armor. Jordan was the first to break. The 8-year-old appeared in my kitchen doorway, drawn by the smell of the pancakes I was making. "Those smell good," he admitted reluctantly. "Thank you, baby. Do you want to help me make the next batch?" He nodded, coming closer. I handed him a whisk and let him stir the batter while I heated the griddle. "Grandma Cora?" he said softly, using Grandma for the first time. "Why does Mom call you names?" I paused, spatula in hand. "What names does she call me, Jordan?" "She says..." He looked down at the bowl. "She says you're poor and embarrassing. That's why we can't visit you. She says your house smells bad and that you're a bitter old woman who ruined Dad's life." Each word was a knife, but I kept my face calm. "And what do you think, Jordan? Does my house smell bad?" He sniffed, looking around. "It smells like cinnamon and coffee. It smells like home." "Then maybe," I said gently, "your mother is wrong about some things." Isaiah appeared in the doorway, still holding his phone like a security blanket. "Is that..." Are you making pancakes shaped like animals? Mickey Mouse, I confirmed, flipping one onto a plate. Your father's favorite when he was your age. Dad ate these? Every Saturday morning for 10 years. I smiled at the memory. He always wanted the elephant because it had the biggest ears. Isaiah sat down at the table, still suspicious, but hungry. Maya followed a few minutes later, drawn by her brother's excitement. When I placed the plates in front of them, pancakes shaped like animals, fresh strawberries cut into stars, real maple syrup, not the fake stuff, and cold milk in my late husband's special glasses, all 3 children stared. This is, Maya started, then stopped herself, remembering she wasn't supposed to like anything I did. This is really good, Isaiah finished for her, his mouth full. Like really, really good. Thank you, sweetheart. But Mom said, Jordan began. Your mother says a lot of things, I interrupted gently. Why don't you decide for yourselves what's true? After breakfast, I gave them their first real assignment. Clean up together. All 3 groaned, but complied. While they worked, I went to my bedroom and called Darius at work. Hi, Mom. He sounded exhausted even at 10 a.m. How are the kids? They're fine, son. Hey, can you come by after work? There's something with the house I need to discuss with you. Is it urgent? Vanessa asked me not to bother her during her conference. Vanessa asked him not to bother her. Of course she did. It's about a leak, I said. Not entirely a lie. There was a leak, but it wasn't in the roof. It was in his marriage, and it was drowning him. Could affect the structure. Okay, Mom. I'll be there around 7. I hung up and looked at the calendar on my wall. 10 days until Vanessa returned. But I only needed 7. 7 days to document everything. 7 days to gather evidence. 7 days to dismantle 8 years of lies. The game had begun, and Vanessa Robinson had no idea she was already losing. The second day began differently. I woke at 5:30 a.m., made coffee, and sat in my kitchen reviewing my notes from yesterday. The hidden cameras had captured everything. Isaiah's angry outbursts, Maya's walls slowly cracking, Jordan's innocent questions that revealed far more than he realized. But it was something Jordan said at breakfast that nagged at me. Raymond Uncle doesn't let us in the bedroom. Raymond Uncle. Who was Raymond? At 7 a.m., I started breakfast. This time, all 3 children came down without being called, drawn by the smell of bacon and French toast. Good morning, Grandma Cora, Jordan said cheerfully. Maya and Isaiah echoed him, though Isaiah still looked at his phone every few seconds, phantom checking for a Wi-Fi signal that wouldn't come. Isaiah, I said as I placed his plate down, your mother said you're allergic to dust. What are your symptoms? He looked confused. I don't know. Mom just says I am. Do you have an EpiPen? Inhaler? Any emergency medication? No. I made a note on my phone. Fake allergy, probably to make me look negligent. Maya, your mother said you won't eat green vegetables. Is that true? Maya squirmed. I mean, I don't really like them, but Mom never makes us eat them anyway. She says kids should choose what they want. Another note, no boundaries, no nutrition education. And Jordan, you need your iPad to fall asleep? Mom gives it to me so she can have quiet time with Raymond Uncle. There it was again, Raymond Uncle. Who is Raymond Uncle? I asked casually, pouring orange juice. All 3 children froze. Isaiah's fork clattered onto his plate. We're not supposed to talk about him, Maya whispered, her eyes darting to her brothers. Mom said if we tell anyone about Raymond Uncle, Dad will die of sadness, Jordan added, his voice small and frightened. My blood ran cold. This was worse than I thought. Much worse. Babies, I said carefully, sitting down with them. Adults don't die of sadness. That's not how hearts work. Your mother lied to you about that. But Mom said, Isaiah started. I know what your mother said, but I'm telling you the truth. Your father is strong. He won't die. But someone is lying to you, and lying to your father too, and that's not okay. Isaiah stared at his plate. Maya's eyes filled with tears. Jordan looked between his siblings, confused. Is it bad that Raymond Uncle stays over? Jordan asked. When does he stay over, baby? When Dad goes on trips for work. Mom says Raymond Uncle takes care of us, but he doesn't really take care of us. He sleeps in Mom and Dad's room, and they make weird noises, and we're not allowed to go in there. Isaiah stood up abruptly. "Shut up, Jordan. Mom said never to tell. Never." "Sit down, Isaiah," I said firmly. "Right now." He sat, but his hands were shaking. "Listen to me, all three of you. You are not in trouble. None of this is your fault. But your mother has put you in the middle of something that isn't fair to you. She's made you keep secrets that are hurting your father. That's called manipulation, and it's not okay." "Are you going to tell Dad?" Maya whispered. "Yes, but not because I want to hurt your mother. Because your father deserves to know the truth. And because you three deserve better than carrying secrets that scare you." After breakfast, while the children watched an old Disney movie, no iPad needed, I noticed, Jordan fell asleep within 30 minutes. I went to my bedroom and opened my laptop. Patricia had taught me well. I logged into Facebook using a browser that wouldn't show I'd viewed anything. Vanessa's profile was public, a mistake narcissists always make. They can't resist showing off. I scrolled through 6 months of posts. Vanessa at the beach, Vanessa at fancy restaurants, Vanessa at hotels, and in many photos, partially cropped but still visible, a man's arm, a man's hand. Once, reflected in her sunglasses, a man's face. I screenshot everything, every photo, every caption, every location tag. Miami, June 2024, Savannah, July 2024, Charleston, August 2024, Nashville, September 2024, New Orleans, October 2024, every single month, every single business trip. Then I searched Raymond in her friends list. Raymond Mitchell, age 34, lives in Atlanta, Georgia, works at Mitchell Real Estate Development. His profile was public too, and there she was in his photos. Vanessa at his company's 4th of July party. Vanessa at what looked like his apartment. Vanessa, Vanessa, Vanessa. And one photo from 2 weeks ago that made my hands shake. Raymond and Vanessa holding up a key, standing in front of a beautiful brick townhouse. The caption, "New beginnings. Can't wait to start our life here. Hashtag Atlanta. Life hashtag homeowner. Hashtag fresh start." Our life. Our life? I screenshot everything and sent it all to my email, then to a USB drive I kept in my desk drawer. Then I did something Patricia taught me. I went to the Franklin County Property Records website and searched Raymond Mitchell's name. One property appeared, 847 Peachtree Terrace, Atlanta, Georgia. Purchase date, August 15th, 2024. Purchase price, $385,000. I searched for the financing information. It was public record. Down payment, $77,000. Cash, $77,000. Where did that money come from? I logged into the laptop and opened Darius's sent emails. He'd given me his passwords years ago in case of emergency. I found his bank statements attached to emails from his accountant. I opened the most recent statement from their joint account. My hands started shaking before I even finished reading the first page. Withdrawal, March 15th, 2024, $8,000. Home improvement. Withdrawal, April 22nd, 2024, $12,000. Medical emergency withdrawal, May 30th, 2024, $15,000. Business investment. Withdrawal, June 18th, 2024, $18,000. Car repair. Withdrawal, July 29th, 2024, $24,000. Family emergency. Total, $77,000. $77,000 of Darius's hard-earned money. Money he'd saved for his children's college education. Money he'd worked 60-hour weeks to accumulate, used as a down payment on a love nest in Atlanta. I sat there staring at the screen, rage and heartbreak warring in my chest. But there was more. I could feel it. I opened his credit report. Teachers learned to be thorough with documentation. 3 credit cards I didn't recognize. Capital One, balance $15,847.32. Opened March 2023. Chase, balance $18,293.11. Opened June 2023. American Express, balance $11,478.55. Opened September 2023. Total $45,618.98 in debt. Darius didn't know about. All opened in his name. All with Vanessa listed as an authorized user. I printed everything. Bank statements, credit card statements, property records, Facebook photos, everything. My printer ran for 11 minutes straight. When Darius arrived at 7:15 p.m., exhausted and covered in factory grime, I had a folder waiting for him on my kitchen table. "Hi, Mom. Where are the kids?" "Sleeping. They're exhausted. Sit down, son. We need to talk." He sat, and I pushed the folder across the table. "What's this?" "Open it." He opened the folder. I watched his face change with each page he turned. Confusion, disbelief, pain, rage, devastation. This can't be real. Mom, where did you get— It's all public record, Darius. The property, the credit cards, the man, all of it. The man? His voice broke. What man? I showed him my phone. Raymond's Facebook page. Photos of him with Vanessa. His name is Raymond Mitchell. He lives in Atlanta. They bought a house together in August. With your money. Darius stared at the phone like it was a snake. Then he started to cry. Not loudly, quietly. The way strong men cry when everything they believed in shatters. I let him cry. Sometimes tears are necessary before healing can begin. After 10 minutes, he looked up at me with red eyes. "How long have you known?" "I suspected for 2 years. I've been documenting for that long. But I only confirmed it yesterday. I'm sorry, son. I'm so sorry." "The kids," he whispered. "Do they know?" "They know about Raymond. Vanessa's been having him stay at your house when you travel for work. She threatened the children, told them you'd die of sadness if they told." Something changed in Darius's face. The sadness hardened into something else. Determination. "What do I do, Mom?" I pulled out another folder. "Tomorrow morning we call Mr. Thompson. He's a lawyer Patricia recommended. Specializes in divorce and parental alienation. We document everything. We protect those children. And we make sure Vanessa faces consequences." "I don't want her to go to jail," Darius said quietly. "I just want my kids safe." "I know, baby. And that's exactly what we're going to do." After Darius left, after I convinced him to go home, shower, sleep, and come back tomorrow, I sat in my living room and cried. Not for Vanessa, for my son, for my grandchildren, for the family that had been poisoned by greed and lies. But tomorrow, the antidote would begin. Tomorrow, we'd start fighting back. The morning after Darius learned the truth, I woke to find all 3 children already in my kitchen. Not because they were hungry, but because they'd heard their father crying in my living room last night before he left. "Grandma Cora," Maya whispered as I entered. "Is Dad okay?" I looked at 3 worried faces and made a decision. No more lies. These children had been swimming in lies for too long. "Your dad found out some difficult truths last night, but he's going to be okay. We're all going to be okay. Because starting today, this family is going to be built on honesty." "About Raymond, Uncle?" Jordan asked quietly. "About everything, baby." Isaiah, who'd been silent, finally spoke. "Is Dad going to leave us?" I pulled him into a hug, the first time he'd let me touch him since he arrived. "No, sweetheart. Your dad loves you more than anything in this world. He would never leave you. But some things in your family are going to change. And change is scary, but sometimes it's necessary." At 9 a.m. sharp, Patricia arrived. Not alone. She brought her sister Sandra Williams from Child Protective Services and a man I didn't know. "Cora, this is Theodore Thompson," Patricia said. "Best family lawyer in Columbus. He worked on my divorce case." Mr. Thompson was a black man in his early 60s with silver hair and kind but sharp eyes. He carried a leather briefcase that looked older than my house. "Mrs. Robinson," he said, shaking my hand firmly. "Patricia tells me we have a situation that needs immediate attention." "We do," I said, leading them to my dining room where I'd laid out everything. "And it's worse than I initially thought." I'd spent the hours between 5 a.m. and 8 a.m. organizing my evidence into categories. Folder 1, financial fraud, joint account withdrawals, $77,000, with dates and fake descriptions. 3 credit cards opened without Darius's knowledge. $45,618.98 total debt. Total financial theft, $122,618.98. Folder 2, infidelity evidence. Facebook photos spanning 6 months, multiple cities. Raymond Mitchell's profile in connection to Vanessa. Location tags matching Vanessa's business trips. Folder 3, property purchase. 847 Peachtree Terrace, Atlanta, Georgia. Purchase date, August 15, 2024. Purchase price, $385,000. Down payment, $77,000. Darius's stolen money. Current owners, Raymond Mitchell and Vanessa Robinson. I hadn't seen that last part until this morning. Vanessa had put her name on the deed. She was already preparing her exit. Folder 4. Parental manipulation. Video recordings from hidden cameras showing the children's statements. Jordan. Mom said Dad would die of sadness if we told. Maya. We're not supposed to talk about Raymond Uncle. Isaiah. Mom says you're bitter and jealous. Audio of Vanessa threatening me. I decide if they have a grandmother or not. Mr. Thompson reviewed everything in silence. Sandra took notes. Patricia squeezed my hand. After 20 minutes, Mr. Thompson looked up. Mrs. Robinson, this is one of the most clear-cut cases of marital fraud and parental alienation I've seen in 30 years of practice. What can we do? I asked. Several things. First, I need to meet with Darius today. We'll file for emergency custody. These children are being used as pawns. Second, we'll file for divorce with a restraining order. Third, he paused, looking at the property documents. Mrs. Robinson, did you know Vanessa put her name on a deed using marital assets without her husband's consent? That's not just civil fraud. That could be criminal. Sandra spoke up. I need to interview the children, separately. What they've disclosed about Raymond Mitchell, an unvetted adult having overnight access to minors while telling them to keep secrets from their father. That's a serious safeguarding concern. Will they take the children away? I asked, my heart racing. From Vanessa's custody? Possibly, yes. From Darius? No, he's a victim here too. The goal is to protect these children while we sort out the adult's mess. At 10:30 a.m., Darius arrived. He looked like he'd aged 10 years overnight. His eyes were red, his hands shaking as he signed document after document that Mr. Thompson placed in front of him. Mr. Robinson, I need you to understand what we're doing here, Thompson said gently. We're filing for emergency custody of your children. We're freezing all joint accounts. We're filing for divorce. And we're putting your wife on notice that if she doesn't cooperate, we will pursue criminal charges. I don't want her in jail, Darius said, his voice hoarse. I just want my kids safe. I understand, but she needs to understand the severity of what she's done. We'll offer her a deal. Surrender custody voluntarily, return the stolen money, sign the divorce papers, and we won't press charges. But if she fights, we fight back with everything. Sandra spent the next 2 hours interviewing the children separately. I stayed in the kitchen, making lunch and pretending I couldn't hear Maya crying in the living room as she talked about how lonely she felt, how much she missed having a real family. When Sandra emerged, her face was grave. Mrs. Robinson, those children have been living in a state of emotional neglect for years. Vanessa uses money and material goods as a substitute for affection. She's taught them to despise you to isolate them from healthy family connections. And this Raymond situation, having a stranger stay overnight, telling children to keep secrets, restricting their access to parts of their own home, that's grooming behavior, whether intentional or not. What happens now? I asked. I file my report. Given everything, the financial fraud, the infidelity, the parental alienation, the concerning adult access, I'm recommending the children remain in a safe environment. That's here, with you, until this is resolved. Darius can have full access. Vanessa can have supervised visits only. She's going to be furious, I said quietly. Let her be, Sandra replied. Furious people make mistakes, and we'll be watching. That evening, I did something I hadn't done in years. I called a family meeting. Darius, the 3 children, and I sat around my dining room table. I'd made my grandmother's recipe, collard greens, cornbread, mac and cheese, and fried chicken. Comfort food, soul food, the food that says you're loved. Kids, Darius began, his voice shaking. Your mom and I are getting divorced. Jordan started crying immediately. Maya's face went blank, a defense mechanism I recognized from years of teaching traumatized children. Isaiah stood up. This is because we told, isn't it? He shouted. This is our fault. Sit down, Isaiah. My voice was firm but kind. Right now. He sat. None of this is your fault, I said clearly. Not one single bit. Your mother made choices. Adult choices, bad choices, and now she has to face the consequences of those choices. But you three, you are innocent, you are victims, and you are loved. But we tattled, Maya whispered. We weren't supposed to tell about Raymond, Uncle. Darius reached across the table and took her hand. Baby girl, you didn't tattle. You told the truth. There's a difference. Tattling is trying to get someone in trouble. Truth-telling is trying to make things right. And you made things right. Is Raymond Uncle Dad's friend? Jordan asked, confused. No, son. Raymond Uncle is someone your mom was spending time with when she shouldn't have been. Someone she was keeping secret from me. And that's not okay in a marriage. Like cheating? Isaiah asked bluntly. We learned about that in health class. Darius flinched but nodded. Yes, like that. We ate in silence for a few minutes. Then Maya asked the question I'd been dreading. Where will we live? Here, I said immediately. With your dad. And you can come visit me whenever you want. Every day if you want. This will always be your home. What about Mom? Jordan's voice was so small. Your mom will have to make some choices, Darius said carefully. But no matter what happens, she's still your mom. You're allowed to love her. You're allowed to miss her. You're allowed to be angry at her. All of those feelings are okay. Isaiah, the oldest, the one who'd been holding everything together, finally broke. I knew, he sobbed. I knew something was wrong. I heard them on the phone. Mom and Raymond. Planning. I heard her say she was going to leave us. I heard her say she was going to take us to Atlanta, and Dad wouldn't be able to find us. I knew and I didn't tell, and... Darius was around the table in seconds, pulling his son into his arms. You were protecting yourself. You were scared. That's not your fault, Isaiah. That's what kids do when adults put them in impossible situations. They survive. And you survived. You all did. And now we're going to heal. That night, after the children were finally asleep, all three in my guest room, piled together like puppies seeking comfort, Darius and I sat on my porch. Mom, he said quietly, I keep thinking, how did I not see it? How was I so blind? Because you're a good man who works hard and trusts people. She used that against you. Predators always do. What kind of father doesn't notice his wife is stealing from him, planning to kidnap his kids? The kind who works 60 hours a week to provide for his family. The kind who was raised to trust and respect his wife. The kind who loved her. I took his hand. Your father Samuel was the same way. Good men often don't see evil because they don't think like evil thinks. How did you see it? Because I'm a teacher, baby. I'm trained to see patterns. And Vanessa's pattern has been clear for years. I just needed proof before I could act. He was quiet for a long moment. Then, thank you, Mom, for not giving up, for fighting when I couldn't. That's what mothers do. At 6 a.m., my phone rang. Mr. Thompson. Mrs. Robinson, we have a situation. I filed the emergency custody papers yesterday at 4 p.m. The court clerk called me at home last night. Apparently, Vanessa has been trying to access her joint account since 10 p.m. We froze it at 5 p.m. She's made 17 calls to the bank. She knows, I said. She knows, and she's going to come back early. We need to be ready. By 9 a.m., my house was a command center. Mr. Thompson at the dining room table with legal documents. Sandra Williams on her laptop filing her CPS report. Patricia organizing evidence into presentation folders. Darius on the phone with his boss, taking emergency family leave. And the children, bless them, were in my backyard, playing. Actually playing without iPads or phones, just playing tag and laughing for the first time since they'd arrived. We need more, Thompson said, reviewing documents. The financial fraud is clear. The infidelity is documented. But if Vanessa claims she was planning to return the money, or that Raymond is just a friend, we need something ironclad. What about the house? I asked. Her name is on the deed. That's our smoking gun, but we need to prove she intended to abandon the marriage and take the children. We need evidence of planning, of intent. I thought about Isaiah's confession last night. I heard them on the phone. Planning. Isaiah, I called out the back door. Can you come here for a minute, sweetheart? He came in, grass-stained and smiling, the first real smile I'd seen on his face. Isaiah, last night you said you heard your mom and Raymond on the phone, planning. Do you remember when that was? His smile faded. Maybe 2 weeks ago? Mom thought we were asleep, but I came downstairs for water and she was in the garage on her phone. I heard her through the door. What exactly did you hear? She said, once I get the old lady to watch them for a week, you and I empty the house. And Raymond said something about a truck. And Mom said he'll be at work, he'll never know until it's done. And then she said, the lawyer in Atlanta said Georgia favors mothers, so once we're there with the kids, he'll never get them back. Thompson and Sandra were staring at Isaiah. Son, Thompson said gently, is there any chance you recorded that? Isaiah looked at the floor. Maybe? My phone auto-records when it detects my mom's voice. It's a safety feature she insisted I install in case I needed evidence if Dad ever hurt me. He looked miserable. She was planning something. I knew it, so I kept the recordings. Where are they? Cloud storage. I can access them on Grandma's computer. 10 minutes later, we were listening to Vanessa Robinson plan her crime in her own voice. The recording was 9 minutes and 43 seconds long. Every word was clear. Vanessa, once I get the old lady to watch them for a week, you and I empty the house. Take everything worth anything. Raymond, what about Darius? Vanessa, he'll be at work. He's always at work. By the time he gets home, we'll be in Atlanta with the kids and half his stuff. Raymond, and legally? Vanessa, the lawyer in Atlanta said Georgia favors mothers in custody cases. Once we establish residence there with the children, Darius will have to fight in Georgia courts. It'll take him years and money he doesn't have. He'll give up. Raymond, and his mother? Vanessa, laughing. Cora, please. She's a broke retired teacher living on a government pension. She can't afford a lawyer. She can't fight me. She'll cry and be sad, and that'll be the end of it. Raymond, you're sure about this? Vanessa, baby, I've been planning this for 2 years. Everything's ready. The house is in our names. The money's been transferred. All I need is one more big withdrawal. I'll tell him it's for the kids' private school. And we're done. He's too stupid to check the accounts anyway. The recording ended. The room was silent. Then Sandra spoke. That's conspiracy to commit custodial interference, theft, and fraud. That's not civil anymore. That's criminal. Thompson nodded slowly. Isaiah, I need you to testify that this recording is authentic. Can you do that? Isaiah looked at his father. Darius nodded. Yes, sir, I can. Good boy, Thompson said, because this recording just changed everything. Vanessa Robinson isn't just losing her marriage. She's looking at serious legal consequences. I looked at the calendar. Vanessa was supposed to return in 5 days, November 27th. But with her knowing the accounts were frozen, she'd come back sooner. We need to be ready, I said. When she walks through that door, we need everything in place. Thompson smiled. It wasn't a kind smile. Mrs. Robinson, by the time she walks through any door, she'll be walking into a trap of her own making. With the legal machinery in motion, I turned my attention to the children. They'd been living in survival mode for years. Now it was time to teach them to thrive. Saturday morning, I introduced Cora's Life School. For the next few days, I told them over breakfast, we're going to learn things your parents should have taught you, but didn't. We're going to learn about money, respect, honesty, and family. That sounds boring, Maya said, but without the venom from a week ago. Does it? I pulled out $300 bills, money I'd withdrawn specifically for this lesson. Each of you gets $100. You can spend it however you want, but first you have to budget it. Their eyes went wide. Budget? Jordan asked. Yes. 10% goes to savings, 10% goes to charity. The rest you can spend, but you have to plan what you're buying and why. Isaiah frowned. Mom never taught us about budgeting. She just bought stuff. I know. And look where that got her. And your dad. $80,000 in debt. The number hung in the air. Wait, Maya said. Mom owes Dad $80,000? More. Including the house she bought with Raymond, she's stolen over $122,000 from your father. That's, Isaiah was calculating on his phone. That's like 4 years of college tuition. Yes, your college fund. Gone. I let that sink in. But, I continued, your father is going to rebuild, and you're going to help him by learning not to make the same mistakes, by learning the value of money, hard work, and honesty. We spent the morning at the bank. I helped each child open a savings account. Isaiah deposited $10, Maya deposited $10, Jordan deposited 10. This feels good, Jordan said, clutching his deposit slip like it was gold, like I'm in control. That's because you are. Money doesn't control you. You control it. In the afternoon, we chose charities. Isaiah picked the children's hospital. Maya chose the animal shelter. Jordan chose the food bank. Why do we have to give money away? Maya asked. We just got it. Because, I said, people who only take become like your mother. People who give become like your father. Which do you want to be? She thought about that, then carefully filled out the donation form for $10 to the animal shelter. Sunday we cooked. Not just any cooking. We made Thanksgiving dinner from scratch. Turkey, stuffing, cranberry sauce, sweet potato pie, collard greens, cornbread. Why are we making Thanksgiving food? Isaiah asked as he peeled potatoes. Thanksgiving is next week. Because, I said, next week we're going to be dealing with your mother. This week we're going to be thankful. For each other, for truth, for family. As we cooked, we talked. Really talked. Maya told me about feeling invisible at home. Mom's always on her phone or going out. Dad's always working. I feel like I'm just there. Isaiah admitted he'd been angry for years. I didn't know why. I just was. Mad all the time. Now I know. I was mad because everything felt fake. Jordan, sweet 8-year-old Jordan, said, Grandma Cora, is it bad that I don't miss Mom? I knelt down to his level. No, baby. You miss the mom you wish you had. Not the mom you actually have. And that's okay. That night, after the children were asleep, Darius came over for our daily strategy session. Mom, I don't know how to thank you, he said. In 1 week, you've done more for my kids than I did in years. You were surviving, I corrected. Being gaslit by a narcissist while working yourself to death, that's not your fault. Still, they're different. They're lighter. They're healing. Children are resilient when given the right environment. He looked at me with tears in his eyes. When Vanessa comes back, I interrupted, she's going to face 3 children who know the truth, a husband who's done being manipulated, and a mother-in-law who's been documenting everything. She's walking into an ambush she created herself. Do you think she'll fight? I thought about the Vanessa I'd known for 8 years. Entitled, manipulative, always playing victim. Oh, she'll fight, I said. Narcissists always do, but this time she'll lose. The call came during lunch. My phone rang. Vanessa's name appeared on the screen. All 4 of us, Darius, the 3 children, and I, stared at it. Don't answer, Darius said. No, I replied. Let me answer. I want to hear what she says. I put it on speaker and hit record on my phone app. Hello, Vanessa. Cora. Her voice was tight, controlled fury. What the hell did you do? I'm sorry? Don't play stupid. My bank account is frozen. My credit cards aren't working. I can't access anything. Oh, I said mildly. You'll have to talk to Darius about that. It's his account, after all. Put him on the phone, now. I looked at Darius. He shook his head. No. He doesn't want to talk to you right now, dear. He has to talk to me. Those are our accounts. He can't just freeze me out. Actually, I said calmly, he can. Especially when he discovers his wife has stolen over $122,000 and bought a house with another man using marital funds. Silence. Long, terrible silence. Then, I don't know what lies you've been telling him, but no lies, Vanessa, just facts. Bank statements, property records, Facebook photos, and something even better, recordings. Recordings of what? Of you and Raymond planning to kidnap the children. The old lady will never be able to fight me. That's what you said, isn't it? Another silence. Where are my children? Her voice had changed. Cold. Calculated. Your children are safe. I want to talk to them. Now, or I'm calling the police. Please do. I'd love to explain to the police how you've been having an unvetted adult male sleep in your home with your children, telling them to keep secrets from their father. Child Protective Services is very interested in that. You bitch. No pretense now. Pure venom. You bitter old bitch. You're just jealous because your life was shit. Because you raised a weak son. Because you're poor and pathetic and alone. The children were listening. I saw Isaiah's jaw clench. Maya's eyes fill with tears. Jordan looked confused. Are you finished? I asked calmly. I'm coming back today, and when I get there, I'm taking my children and there's nothing you can do about it. Actually, Vanessa, there is. Child Protective Services has issued a temporary custody order. The children stay with Darius. You can have supervised visits, supervised by the court. That's not legal. You can't do that. We already did. The judge signed the order at 9 this morning. You'll be served papers when you land. I'll fight this. I'll sue you. I'll sue Darius. I'll take everything. You already took everything, I interrupted. And now you're going to give it back. Or you're going to jail. Your choice, dear. I hung up. The room was silent. Then Isaiah said quietly, Grandma Cora, you called her dear. I did. Why? Because, I said, when you know you've won, you can afford to be polite. Jordan giggled, then Maya, then Isaiah, then Darius. We all laughed, the kind of laughter that comes after surviving something terrible. But we weren't done surviving yet. Vanessa was coming home, and the final confrontation was about to begin. Vanessa didn't wait until the next day. She arrived that afternoon, 18 hours after our phone call. I was in the kitchen teaching Jordan how to make my grandmother's peach cobbler when I heard the engine. That distinctive purr of her Lexus SUV, the $65,000 vehicle bought with Darius's overtime pay. Kids, I said calmly, go to Patricia's house, right now. But Grandma, Isaiah started. Now, please. They knew that tone. All three grabbed their jackets and ran out the back door just as the front doorbell began ringing. Not ringing, pounding. Darius was already in the living room. Mr. Thompson sat in my armchair, briefcase open, documents arranged on the coffee table like playing cards. Sandra Williams stood by the window. Detective Morris, whom Thompson had invited just in case, waited in the kitchen. I took a breath and opened the door. Vanessa looked terrible. Not the polished, designer-clad woman who'd dropped the children off 9 days ago. Her hair was disheveled, no makeup, wearing yoga pants and a wrinkled t-shirt. Her eyes were wild. Where are my children? She tried to push past me. I didn't move. They're not here. I know they're here. I have a right to see my children. Actually, Mr. Thompson said, standing, you don't. Not without court supervision. Vanessa's eyes narrowed as she saw the lawyer. Who the hell are you? Theodore Thompson, Mrs. Robinson. I represent your husband in divorce proceedings. Please come in. We have a lot to discuss. She stepped inside and I saw her register everything. The lawyer, Sandra in her CPS jacket, the neat stacks of documents, Darius standing with his arms crossed. What is this? Vanessa's voice pitched higher. Some kind of intervention? No, Darius said quietly. It's a reckoning. A what? She laughed, that sharp, cruel laugh. Darius, whatever your mother told you, it's lies. She's always hated me. She's been trying to break us up since... Sit down, Vanessa. Darius's voice was steel. I'd never heard him sound like that. She sat, perched on the edge of my sofa like a bird ready to flee. Thompson opened the first folder. Mrs. Robinson, let's start with the easy part. Do you know a Raymond Mitchell? He's a friend from college. We reconnected. Do you own property with Raymond Mitchell? Her face paled. I don't know what you're talking about. Thompson slid a document across the table. Property deed, 847 Peachtree Terrace, Atlanta, Georgia. Purchased August 15th, 2024. Purchase price, $385,000. Down payment, $77,000. Owners, Raymond Mitchell and Vanessa Louise Robinson. Vanessa stared at the document. I can explain. Please do. Thompson's voice was pleasant, deadly pleasant. It's an investment. For our future, for the kids' future, funded with money stolen from your husband's account. Thompson slid over bank statements. March 15th, $8,000 marked home improvement. April 22nd, $12,000 marked medical emergency. Shall I continue? Those were legitimate expenses. Were they? Thompson placed down more papers. Because we have no record of any home improvements, no medical bills. What we do have is a $77,000 down payment made the same day as your final withdrawal. Interesting coincidence. Vanessa looked at Darius. Baby, let me explain. I was trying to secure our future. The market in Atlanta is booming. This was an investment for us. For us? Darius's voice cracked. Your name is on the deed. Not mine. Just you and Raymond. That's just paperwork. It was easier for financing. Stop lying, Darius shouted. Just stop. Vanessa's mask slipped. For a moment, I saw real fear. Thompson continued, relentless. Let's move to the credit cards. 3 cards opened in your husband's name without his knowledge. Capital One, $15,847. Chase, $18,293. American Express, $11,478. Total debt, $45,618.98. Can you explain these? We needed things for the kids, for the house, for your trips with Raymond, I said quietly. Miami in June, Savannah in July, Charleston in August, Nashville in September, New Orleans in October, all charged to cards Darius didn't know existed. Vanessa turned to me with pure hatred. You did this. You turned him against me. You poisoned my children. I did nothing, I said, except show your husband the truth. Mrs. Robinson, Sandra spoke for the first time. I'm Sandra Williams from Child Protective Services. I need to ask you about Raymond Mitchell's access to your children. What? He's a friend. He helped with childcare, unvetted childcare, overnight childcare, during which he slept in the marital bedroom and the children were told to keep secrets from their father. Can you explain why you told your 8-year-old son that his father would die of sadness if he revealed Mr. Mitchell's presence? Vanessa's hands were shaking. We have it on video, Sandra said. Jordan's statement, Maya's statement, Isaiah's statement, all 3 children corroborating the same story. This is entrapment. This is illegal. No, Thompson said. What's illegal is conspiracy to commit custodial interference, which brings us to this. He pulled out his phone and pressed play. Vanessa's voice filled the room. Once I get the old lady to watch them for a week, you and I empty the house. Take everything worth anything. We watched the color drain completely from her face. The recording continued. 9 minutes and 43 seconds of Vanessa planning to abandon her husband, steal his possessions, and kidnap his children. When it ended, the silence was absolute. Vanessa whispered. That's taken out of context. What context? Darius asked, his voice breaking. Makes it okay to plan to kidnap my children? I wasn't kidnapping them. I'm their mother. I was just trying to start over. You're never home. You work all the time. I was lonely. So you stole from me? Lied to me? Turned my children against my mother? Brought a stranger into our home? Darius was crying now. I worked those hours for you, Vanessa. For you and the kids. Every overtime shift, every weekend. I was building a life for us. A life? Vanessa laughed bitterly. In that tiny house? With your pathetic salary? I wanted more. I deserved more. And there it was. The truth, finally. Thompson let the words hang in the air. Then, Mrs. Robinson, you have 2 options. Option 1, you sign divorce papers. You surrender all custody rights. Supervised visitation only. You return every penny stolen. You surrender your claim to any marital assets. And we don't press criminal charges. And option 2, we see you in court. With this evidence, you'll lose custody entirely. You'll be ordered to repay the money, which you don't have. And the district attorney, whom I've already briefed, will file criminal charges for fraud and attempted custodial interference. You're looking at 3 to 5 years in prison. Vanessa looked around the room like a trapped animal, at Darius, who was crying, at me, standing calm and unmoved, at the evidence spread across my coffee table like a guilty verdict. I need time to think. No. Thompson's voice was final. You have until 5 p.m. today. Sign the papers or face the consequences. This is blackmail. No, I said quietly. This is justice. You played a game, Vanessa. You assumed you were smarter than everyone else. You assumed I was just a broke old teacher who couldn't fight back. You were wrong. Vanessa stood up, her hands in fists. I want to see my children. Now. You can't keep them from me. We can, Sandra said. And we have. Under Ohio Revised Code Section 2151.31, we have temporary custody authority when there's evidence of psychological harm. Your children are safe. You'll see them when a judge says you can. Where are they? Vanessa screamed. Somewhere you can't manipulate them anymore, I replied. Vanessa grabbed her purse and headed for the door. At the threshold, she turned back. This isn't over. I'll get a better lawyer. I'll fight this. I'll tell everyone how you poisoned my family against me. Please do, Thompson said. We'd love to present our evidence in open court, including the recording of you calling your children brats and burdens. I'm sure the judge will be fascinated. Vanessa's face contorted with rage and something else. Defeat. She slammed the door so hard my grandmother's picture rattled on the wall. We stood in silence for a long moment. Then Darius collapsed into a chair and sobbed. I sat beside him and held my son while he grieved for the marriage he thought he had, the wife he thought he knew, the family he'd tried so hard to build. It's over, he whispered. It's really over. Yes, I said. The lying is over. Now the healing begins. Vanessa signed the papers at 4:47 p.m. the previous day, 13 minutes before the deadline. She signed everything. Divorce papers, custody agreement, financial restitution agreement. She had no choice. She had no money for a lawyer, no leverage, and no defense. The terms were brutal, but fair. Full physical and legal custody to Darius, supervised visitation only, 2 hours per month. Location to be determined by the court. Repayment of $122,618.98 in stolen funds. Payment plan, $1,500 per month for 7 years. Surrender of all claims to marital property. Immediate vacation of the marital home. Restraining order. No contact with Cora Robinson or the children outside supervised visits. Raymond Mitchell, when contacted by Thompson's investigator, had immediately distanced himself. He claimed he didn't know she was still married and offered to sell the Atlanta property and split the proceeds. He was protecting himself. Vanessa was utterly alone. Now, the morning after, Darius brought the children back to my house. "Where's Mom?" Maya asked immediately. Darius knelt down to her level. "Your mom and I are getting divorced. She signed papers yesterday. She's going to be living somewhere else now." "Where?" Jordan asked. "I don't know, buddy. But you're going to live with me, and you can visit Grandma Cora whenever you want." Isaiah, my sharp 13-year-old, asked the hard question. "Did we do this? Did we break up your marriage?" "No." Darius was firm. "Your mother broke up this marriage. With her choices, her lies. You 3 told the truth, that's all. And I'm proud of you for being brave enough to tell the truth even when you were scared." "Can we see her?" Maya whispered. "Yes, but only with a supervisor present. The court wants to make sure these visits are healthy for you, that she's not trying to manipulate you or badmouth your dad or grandma." "Good," Isaiah said bluntly, "because I don't trust her." We spent that morning doing something simple, playing board games, Monopoly, Sorry Uno, games that required sitting together, laughing, being a family. At lunch, Detective Morris called. "Mrs. Robinson, I wanted you to know we're not pressing criminal charges. Yet. If Vanessa adheres to the agreement, stays away, and makes her payments, we'll let it drop. But if she violates any terms, we'll reopen the investigation immediately." "Thank you, Detective." "No, ma'am, thank you. You did more detective work than half my unit. Ever consider a second career?" I laughed. "I'm retired. I'm staying retired." But even as I said it, I knew it wasn't quite true. Because that afternoon, 3 different women from my church called. "Cora, I heard what happened with your daughter-in-law," Sister Martha began. "And I think my son's wife might be doing the same thing. Could you help me figure out what to look for?" "Cora, it's Denise from the school district. My daughter is being financially abused by her husband. You helped Darius. Could you help her?" "Mrs. Robinson, you don't know me, but Patricia Davis gave me your number. I'm being pushed out of my grandson's life by my son's new wife. I don't know what to do." Elder abuse, parental alienation, financial exploitation. It was everywhere, and now people knew I could help. "Mom," Darius said when I told him about the calls, "you've started something." "I didn't mean to." "But you did. You stood up to someone who thought she was untouchable. You documented everything. You fought back with facts and the law. People need that." I looked at him. "Are you suggesting I become some kind of, what, advocate?" "Why not? You're a teacher. You know how to research, document, organize. You just took down a narcissist with evidence and strategy. Imagine if you helped other people do the same. I thought about that. About all those years teaching children. About all I'd learned. About having time now. Time I'd wanted to spend traveling but could spend helping people instead. Maybe, I said. Maybe. That night, after everyone had gone home, I sat on my porch with tea and watched the sunset. My phone buzzed. A text from Vanessa. You won. Are you happy now? You destroyed my life. I considered not responding, then decided she needed to hear this. No, Vanessa, I didn't destroy your life. You did that yourself. I simply refuse to let you destroy my son's life, my grandchildren's lives, or my own life. There's a difference. Her response came immediately. I hate you. I know. But one day, maybe you'll understand that I did you a favor. I stopped you before you went to prison. I gave you a chance to change. What you do with that chance is up to you. She didn't respond. I deleted the conversation and blocked her number. 6 months after Vanessa signed those papers, life had found a new rhythm. Darius and the children lived in a smaller house. The marital home had been sold. The proceeds split, though Vanessa's half went directly to debt repayment. It was a 3-bedroom rental on Maple Street, just 4 blocks from my house. The children came to my place every day after school. Isaiah had made honor roll. He was also seeing Dr. Evans, the therapist, twice a week. He was learning that the anger he'd carried wasn't his fault, wasn't his responsibility to fix, and would take time to heal. Maya had joined the volleyball team at school. She'd made friends, real friends, not the superficial ones Vanessa had arranged based on whose parents had money. She smiled now, easily, often. Jordan had discovered he loved music. My old piano, which had sat silent for years, now rang with his practice every afternoon. He was learning Beethoven. He was also learning that he didn't need an iPad to sleep. He needed security. And now he had it. Darius looked different. He'd gained weight, healthy weight. The gray circles under his eyes had faded. He still worked hard, but he'd cut back to 45 hours a week. He coached Jordan's Little League team. He went to Isaiah's school conferences. He braided Maya's hair before school. He was present. Finally present. As for me, I'd started what I called the Clarity Project. It started small, helping Sister Martha document her concerns about her daughter-in-law. Then Denise's daughter with her financial abuse case. Then a grandfather trying to get custody of his grandchildren. Now I had 12 active cases. All elder abuse, parental alienation, or financial exploitation. All people who needed someone with patience, intelligence, and time to help them document the truth. I didn't charge. I just helped. And it gave my retirement purpose I hadn't expected. The local news did a story. 68-year-old retired teacher helps families fight financial abuse. It went viral online. I got calls from across Ohio, across the country. Patricia joked I should write a book. How to Catch a Narcissist, a Teacher's Guide. Maybe I would. On this particular morning, May 15th, 2025, something unexpected happened. I was in my garden planting tomatoes with Jordan when a car pulled up. A Honda Civic, 10 years old, modest. Vanessa got out. I stood up, instinctively moving in front of Jordan, but she held up her hands. I'm not here to cause trouble, she said. Can we talk? Jordan, go inside and get Isaiah and Maya, now. He ran. Vanessa and I stood in my garden, 3 feet apart. She looked different, thinner. Her hair was natural, not the expensive highlights. She wore Target clothes, not designer. She looked tired, human. What do you want, Vanessa? To say... She paused, swallowed. To say you were right. I waited. I've been in therapy. Court mandated at first, but I kept going. And my therapist, she helped me see... Vanessa's voice cracked. I have narcissistic personality disorder, and maybe borderline personality disorder. I've been using people my whole life. I didn't even realize it. I thought everyone was the problem. But it was me. I said nothing. I'm working now, at a nursing home in Cincinnati, taking care of elderly patients. It's humbling, it's hard, but it's honest work. She looked at my house. I came to say I'm sorry. To you, to Darius, to the kids. I know sorry isn't enough. I know I destroyed everything. But I needed you to know. I'm trying to change. Why are you telling me this? Because you're the only person who never let me manipulate them. You saw through me from day one, and I hated you for it. But you were right about everything. I studied her, looking for the con, the angle, the manipulation. But I saw something I'd never seen in Vanessa before. Genuine remorse. Vanessa, I hope you do change. For your sake. But you understand, my family is off limits. You get your 2 hours a month supervised visits. Nothing more. I know. She turned to leave, then looked back. Can I ask you something? What? How did you know? How did you see what I was when no one else did? I thought about that. About 38 years teaching children. About learning to spot lies, manipulation, the patterns of hurt people hurting people. Because, I said, I spent my life teaching children. And you, Vanessa, were a child in an adult's body. A child who never learned empathy, boundaries, or consequences. I saw that. I just had to wait for the right moment to teach you. And did you? Teach me? I don't know. That depends on what you do now. The lesson is over. What you do with it is up to you. She nodded and left. I watched her drive away, then went inside where my grandchildren were peeking through the curtains. Was that Mom? Maya asked. Yes. Is she coming back? Not to stay, but maybe one day she'll be someone you can have a relationship with again, when she's healthier, when it's safe. Do you think people can really change, Grandma? Isaiah asked. I pulled all 3 children close. I think people can change if they want to, badly enough. If they do the work. If they face the truth about themselves. But change is hard and rare. So we protect ourselves first. We hope for the best, but prepare for the worst. That's very wise, Grandma, Maya said. I smiled. You learn a lot in 68 years, baby. I woke to the sound of laughter in my kitchen. When I came downstairs, I found Darius making pancakes shaped like animals. Isaiah was setting the table. Maya was cutting strawberries into stars. Jordan was practicing piano, a piece he'd learned specially for today. Happy birthday, Mom, Darius called out. Happy birthday, Grandma Cora, 3 voices chorused. My dining room table was covered with handmade cards. Isaiah had written an essay. My hero, the grandmother who saved our family. Maya had painted a picture, all of us in front of my house, holding hands, smiling. Jordan had composed a song, Grandma's Love. And Darius had framed something I didn't expect, a photograph from that first breakfast, 9 days into Vanessa's abandonment. The children looking suspicious, guarded. And now, a photo from last week. The same children, glowing, healthy, happy. Before and after, Darius said. Before truth and after truth. We ate breakfast together. Then Darius handed me an envelope. Inside was a check for $1,500. What's this? Vanessa's first payment. She's actually making them, every month, on time. And how is she doing? I don't know. She writes the kids' letters. They decide if they want to read them. Sometimes they do. Sometimes they don't. She's been sober, from alcohol and her spending addiction, for 8 months. Her therapist says she's making progress. Good, I said, and I meant it. Because the goal was never to destroy Vanessa. It was to protect my family. And if Vanessa became healthy enough to have a relationship with her children someday, good. But if she didn't, we'd be okay. Because we'd learned the most important lesson of all. Family isn't about blood. It's about who shows up, who stays, who tells the truth, who protects you, who loves you when you're difficult to love. That morning, surrounded by the family I'd fought for, I understood something profound. I hadn't just saved them. They'd saved me, too. At 68 years old, I'd retired from teaching. But at 69, I'd learned I'd never really stopped. Because the best lessons aren't taught in classrooms. They're taught in kitchens, in gardens, in living rooms where truth finally gets to speak. They're taught by grandmothers who refuse to be underestimated, who document everything, who wait for the right moment, who understand that justice isn't always loud and dramatic. Sometimes justice is quiet. Sometimes justice is patient. Sometimes justice is simply an old woman with a notebook saying, I see you, and I'm not afraid. I looked at my family, my son, my grandchildren, now healthy and whole, and smiled. The lesson was complete, And oh, what a lesson it had been. I'm Cora Robinson. I'm 69 years old. And here's what I learned. At my age, people think you're finished. Done. Just waiting to die. They think you're weak because you're old. Stupid because you're out of touch. Irrelevant because you're retired. Let them think that. Because underestimation is the greatest weapon you have. I learned that family isn't always blood. Sometimes it's the people you choose. And sometimes you have to cut out the blood that's poisoning you to save the family worth keeping. I learned that documentation is power. That specifics beat generalities. That dates, times, dollar amounts, and recordings beat emotions every single time. I learned that narcissists always underestimate their victims. They think kindness is weakness. They think patience is ignorance. They think quiet observation is obliviousness. They're wrong. I learned that the best revenge isn't revenge at all. It's simply holding up a mirror and saying, look at what you've done. Face it. Own it. And I learned that at 68 years old, after losing my husband, after raising a son alone, after teaching for 38 years, I thought I was done teaching. I was wrong about that too. The classroom just got bigger. The students just got older. But the lesson remained the same. Truth, courage, documentation, justice, and love. Always love. Because in the end, that's what saved us. Not my cleverness, not my evidence, not even my plan. Love saved us. Love that refused to give up. Love that documented carefully. Love that waited patiently. Love that struck decisively. And now, every morning, I wake up in my modest house on my modest pension, and I'm surrounded by a family that's honest, that's healing, that's real. And I think, this is what winning looks like. Not yachts or mansions or revenge. Just peace. Just truth. Just family. Just an old woman in her garden, teaching her grandson how to plant tomatoes, knowing that the seeds we plant today become the harvest we reap tomorrow. Vanessa planted lies, and she reaped exactly what she'd sown. I planted truth, and I'm reaping love. I'm Cora May Robinson. I'm 69 years old. I'm a retired teacher, and I just taught the most important lesson of my life. If you're listening from somewhere far away, I hope this story found you when you needed it. I hope it reminded you that age is not weakness. That documentation is power. That patience is strategy. And I hope it reminded you that sometimes the quietest voices speak the loudest truths. Drop your city in the comments. Let me see how far Cora's lesson has traveled. And if you're facing something similar, document everything. Be patient. Wait for the right moment. Then strike with truth. The narcissist never expects the quiet one to fight back. That's their mistake. Don't let it be yours. Stay strong. Stay smart. Stay documenting. And remember, you're never too old to teach someone a lesson they'll never forget.